As soon as Su Ming traveled to the world of film and television, he found Qin Yumo lying next to him. You only need to interact with the plot characters to receive corresponding rewards. The first reward is the succubus physique. Yumo, my responsibility, you will be satisfied. For Su Ming, Qin Yumo is just the beginning. Yifei said, I'm not as good as that stuffed toy. It's better to come and play with me than to play with it. I have more. Lin Wanyu said, Brother Su Ming, as long as you like it, I also like black and white substitutes. Guan Juer said, Brother Ming is so handsome, I love him so much. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. I will be responsible to you. Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah! A piercing scream from the girl, directly breaking the particularly peaceful atmosphere of the morning. Who is it? Early in the morning, it's so noisy. Su Ming heard the sound. Opening my still slightly sleepy eyes, I saw it opposite him. A beautiful woman is holding a blanket, curled up in the corner, looking at myself. His eyes were filled with fear. Why are you here? And what is the current situation? The beautiful woman looked at Su Ming. I'm about to cry. The voices are accompanied by some teary cavities. You asked me to bring you over yesterday. As for the current situation, to be honest, I can't remember clearly either. Su Ming looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. More precisely, it's Qin Yumo, speaking up. He is a serious traveler. I only traveled to this world yesterday. The system assigned him the status of an orphan and he had no relatives. In addition to his own Yanzu appearance, there is nothing else. But fortunately, after cursing about gravity, he also directly met Qin Yumo. This made Su Ming understand, he has traveled to the love apartment. Why is he so certain? Because he got the answer after communicating with Qin Yumo. With the average appearance value of Feilu readers as the foundation, soon he became acquainted with Qin Yumo. Xiao Jiu also started drinking. Then that's it now. However, it has to be said that, at the beginning it's quite sour and refreshing. Qin Yumo heard Su Ming's words. My little face couldn't help but turn pale. She drank broken pieces yesterday. I don't remember anything. How could it be like this? It's okay, I'll be responsible to you. I'm a responsible person. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo's low mood. It's also a consolation. But I now have a pursuer. Qin Yumo's face was particularly unattractive, and he spoke up. If it weren't for her current feelings towards that pursuer, there's a little more meaning. She has a high chance of accepting Su Ming. After all, Su Ming's appearance is displayed here. She herself is also somewhat attractive. But now, she hesitated a bit. Forget it, I also have a problem this time. Just assume that nothing happened today. Qin Yu's ink has a complex surface color. Looking at Su Ming, finally, I said such a sentence. You can treat this as a dream. In Qin Yumo's view, since some problems have already occurred, it's also irreparable. That's the only way to avoid causing bigger problems. Pursuers. After Qin Yumo finished speaking, Su Ming also chewed on these 3 words in his mouth. Qin Yumo has pursuers. I can't understand this. After all, with her beauty and physique, don't talk about pursuers, even having a boyfriend is normal. I just don't know if it's Richard. If so, it's even more interesting. Because he knows Richard very well. Almost all of his hands are his handles. You go. Qin Yumo was stunned when he saw Su Ming. It was also urged once again to say. Su Ming won't leave. She dare not engage in any other behavior. No way. Upon hearing the sound, Su Ming regained his senses and gently shook his head. Why not? Qin Yumo saw Su Ming's behavior. Looking at Su Ming's gaze, I also immediately became nervous. It's nothing, as I said, I like to be responsible. Now that I've caused such a big disaster, how could I just leave so quickly? Su Ming spoke up. I don't care anymore, just leave. Qin Yumo hurriedly said, you don't have to take responsibility for this, just treat it as if something hasn't happened. No, I have a principle that I am responsible for. Su Ming smiled and spoke up. This statement left Qin Yumo confused. I don't understand what Su Ming means. What are your principles? I need to take responsibility for this. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo. At this moment, he said solemnly, I think a overtime game, only then can I demonstrate my determination. Qin Yumo. Chapter 2. Awakening the Demon Constitution. Seeking data. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After a period of time, I'm glad to receive your recognition. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo in front of him. At this moment, I also smiled with satisfaction. Ding, congratulations on encountering one of the main characters in the first plot. Congratulations on receiving the reward, Meijia Constitution. At this moment, the sudden sound from the system stunned Su Ming. Has the golden finger been credited to the account? Originally, Su Ming was cursing at gravity yesterday. As a traveler, I don't even have a golden finger. Now he just wants to withdraw this sentence. And offer your sincerest blessings directly. Meijia Constitution. This thing usually appears on women in myths or strange comics, now put it on yourself. What's the use of it? Su Ming is somewhat uncertain. Is it as difficult as he thinks? Is it difficult for a woman to be tempted by herself? Is this too outrageous? If that's the case, so did he have to be squeezed dry? And Su Ming suddenly caught a crucial point, the first plot. Does this mean that, this world is not just about love apartments? If that's really the case, then this world has fun. Forget it, I don't want to do so much for now. Let's take a closer look. Soon, Su Ming threw away all the strange thoughts in his mind. He wants to give it a try now. What is the so-called enchanting physique? Yumo. Su Ming set his gaze on Qin Yumo. What's wrong? Qin Yumo didn't even open his eyes, still responding weakly. How do you feel about me? Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo and asked. Qin Yumo heard these words. I also subconsciously opened my eyes. However, after she saw Su Ming, her gaze suddenly changed. She, who was originally planning to end this relationship directly, hesitation and reluctance arose. It's pretty good. By divine intervention, Qin Yumo said such a sentence. Really? Upon hearing these words, Su Ming couldn't help but feel delighted. Ask again. Although Qin Yumo was shy, but I still nodded lightly. Upon hearing this, he was somewhat surprised to find that, a red-purple pattern appeared deep in Qin Yumo's pupils. It is truly the charm and magic pattern. It seems that, his demonic constitution has come into play. I remember, you said you had a pursuer. What was his name? Su Ming suddenly asked. Although there is a demonic physique here, but Su Ming still wants to quickly resolve the matter of Qin Yumo. After all, if two people separate, it is uncertain that Qin Yumo may undergo some changes. Richard. Qin Yumo didn't know why Su Ming asked such a question. But I still answered quietly. Richard. Upon hearing these words, Su Ming's gaze flickered. It is indeed this guy. If it were him, it's easy to handle. Richard. How do I sound familiar with this name? Although Su Ming's heart is clear, but he still pretended to be hesitant and said. Ah. Qin Yumo heard these words. Immediately, he became nervous. Do you know each other? If Richard and Su Ming, if two people don't know each other. Although Qin Yumo felt a bit guilty, but it's okay. If two people know each other, so how awkward will it be when we meet again? Perhaps it's just the same name. The Richard the first. No, is a jeweler. I'm in my 30s, you are so young and beautiful. It's definitely not your boyfriend anymore, Su Ming denied with a smile. Although praised for being young and beautiful, Qin Yumo felt very happy in his heart. But jeweler, In his 30s after these words appeared one by one, Qin Yumo's small face turned pale and his eyes were full of disbelief. Isn't it so coincidental? Su Ming spoke up. I don't know, but what you just said perfectly matches his conditions. Qin Yumo said with a slightly unpleasant expression on his face. Impossible, it should be a coincidence. Su Ming seemed to have thought of something, shaking his head, speaking seriously, pretending to be serious. I suddenly remembered that he already has a wife, and he has been married for 5 years. His wife's name is Tina, and there is absolutely no mistake. Chapter 3 Qin Yumo. How about we do it again? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wife. Qin Yumo heard Su Ming's words. Xiaomian was also shocked at the moment. He told me, if we were together, get engaged to me in a while. Qin Yumo was very unwilling to believe Su Ming's words, but the Richard that Su Ming just described, it's exactly the same as what she knows. Age and occupation are the same. There can't be such a coincidence in the world. I need to make a phone call to confirm. His face changed from sunny to gloomy for a while. Qin Yumo said extremely seriously, and then in front of Su Ming, so I shook the phone out of the pocket next to my clothes. After finding Richard's phone number, I dialed the phone directly. Regarding this, Su Ming did not speak, but just watching this scene. He has already made a good start, leave the rest to Qin Yumo. Hello. Hello, Yumo. Why did you call? I have a friend, he said he knows you. Is that so? The other party's tone froze for a moment before speaking up. I am with him. I heard some bad news, Qin Yumo said. Yumo, don't listen to others' nonsense. Don't you understand my feelings for you? I'll take you to buy a diamond ring next month. Across from Richard, upon hearing Qin Yumo's words, at this moment, I also hurriedly explained. Do you have a wife? Her name is Tina. Qin Yumo heard that the other person's tone was a bit off, also immediately asked. How could it be? Yumo, don't you know me? Richard is still explaining. It may have been clear before, but now, I don't understand you anymore. Qin Yumo said. Yumo, give it to me, I'll talk to him. At this moment, Su Ming extended his hand to Qin Yumo. Who are you again? Richard across from him heard Su Ming's voice, also quickly said. Me. Of course it's the person who told Yumo the truth. You don't have to rush to refute first. What would happen if I told Tina these messages? Su Ming smiled and said. You. Richard heard these words, the heart that originally wanted to argue again, suddenly, it also cooled down. He doesn't dare to gamble at all. The other party can say their wife's name. I must know something. He can achieve this kind of achievement now, thanks to his father.in.law. If I knew he was doing such a thing outside, I estimate his legs will be broken by his father.in.law. No glory, no wealth, no glory. Damn it. Qin Yumo saw that Richard suddenly stopped speaking. I also know that what Su Ming said is true. At this moment, I only feel immense anger. After cursing angrily, just hung up the phone like that. Thank you, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have known that guy was such a jerk. After hanging up the phone, Qin Yumo, the phone was thrown aside and speechless for a long time. After a few seconds, Qin Yumo set his gaze on Su Ming's face, speak with utmost sincerity. It's okay, this kind of person is also what I detest the most. Su Ming spoke up and said, everyone has a wife now, still playing around outside. Although Su Ming also likes to keep the red flag at home, colorful flags are fluttering outside. However, they all floated onto themselves. I can't bear it, we cannot tolerate it. Soon, after this burst of anger, Qin Yumo only felt a bit depressed. Although that guy is indeed a bastard, but after all, I treated her well before. There is still a little bit of emotion, now that I know this kind of thing. She also felt a bit uncomfortable in her heart. After all, she hates mistresses the most. I didn't expect to almost become a mistress. If you feel uncomfortable, I can lend you my shoulder. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo and spoke. Qin Yumo heard these words, the look in Su Ming's eyes became even softer. After hesitating for a while, Qin Yumo walked over, he threw himself directly into Su Ming's arms. Are you a rabbit? Suddenly, Qin Yumo gave Su Ming a white glance and spoke. Rabbit. You underestimate me too much. I have a lot of things to do in my life. It's just that you're too beautiful. No man can resist it. What Qin Yumo meant, he certainly understands. After all, rabbits, all day long, except for that, it's all about giving birth. However, Su Ming believes that, he is an ambitious young man with ideals and aspirations. Having traveled to such a world, we must do something big. 100 pieces of waste are waiting to be revived, which is the beginning of the development of the rolling era. A man's mouth. Qin Yumo looked at Su Ming, with a pout, he spoke. What's wrong with a man's mouth? Su Ming asked. A deceitful ghost. Qin Yumo spoke softly. No, men's mouths are used to kiss women. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo, I kissed him directly. After a while. Separate the two. Qin Yumo bit his red lips, ultimately, looking up at my little head, looking at Su Ming's gaze, it is also particularly complex. Chapter 4. The future is too promising. Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Now, Su Ming was in front of her, there is an inexplicable sense of trust in her heart. And Su Ming also brought her a feeling she had never experienced before. Although it may sound incredible, but this is a fact. Watching the change in Qin Yumo's gaze, Su Ming's heart also moved slightly at this moment. The power of this enchanting demon, it's really quite abnormal. Qin Yumo's gaze at himself, I really love it too much. Watching Qin Yumo walk towards the back of Miomon, Su Ming also laughed. Sure enough, being able to let the girl walk against the wall, that must be a young man. And those who let young men walk against the wall, that must be a middle-aged woman. I'll take a nap first, don't disturb me. After taking a shower, Qin Yumo came out, while rubbing against fair skin, as he spoke to Su Ming. After speaking, I quickly fell asleep and fell asleep. She is too tired. In no time, Qin Yumo's snoring had already begun. Upon seeing this, Su Ming, I didn't bother Qin Yumo, but let her rest well. Looking at Qin Yumo's collagen full, it is indeed more charming than before. Lying next to Qin Yumo, Su Mingqin also began to plan inside. Currently, he has already gained some understanding of the world. Not just ordinary parallel worlds, and it is still a world where film and television are united. As for his golden fingers, at present, it looks quite clear. That is the main character who comes into contact with the plot. Qin Yumo is a great example. As long as you touch the main characters in the plot, you can receive certain rewards. In that case, there is a goal. Although it is highly likely that this is a synthesis of the film and television world, but find other characters, it's not as simple as directly contacting Qin Yumo's best friend Yifei. After all, they are all the main characters. However, Su Ming is not very clear about it. Is there any specific restriction on the gender of the character? I have to give it a try. Although this world is different from before, but the core principles remain unchanged, that means having money and power. Otherwise, nothing would count. But with golden fingers, and there are things that I know in advance in my mind. Su Ming believes that, living here is like a fish in water, with wind and water rising. It's still very simple. Just like now, I just picked up a free original girlfriend. However now, let him rest well, after all, during the high-intensity battle just now, he is indeed a bit tired. After sleeping for a few hours, Qin Yumo, slowly opening her beautiful eyes, the purple-red lines representing the demon inside flashed faintly and disappeared directly from her eyes. Looking at Su Ming next to him, in the beauty of Qin Yumo's eyes, at this moment, there was also a hint of complexity flashing through his expression. All of this happened, it's like a dream, it really feels a bit dreamy. Not only that Diamond King Wu's boyfriend, he is a scumbag. She just lost it for the first time, and she actually doesn't resist Su Ming, on the contrary, it is an extra acceptance. Thinking of this, Qin Yumo only felt a little hot on his face. She wants to search online, or ask those experienced people. In her situation, is it really abnormal? But this guy is really handsome. Suddenly, Qin Yumo set his gaze on Su Ming's face. I was also a bit obsessed in my eyes, almost stunned. Men like beautiful women, women also like handsome men. Especially now that Su Ming still has the physique of a succubus, for women, that's even more irresistible temptation. After all, it can be imagined that, what kind of charm should a woman with enchanting attributes have for an ordinary man standing in front of her? Kneeling down on the spot is possible. When thinking about it, Qin Yumo's face turned even redder. Unconsciously, Qin Yumo gradually approached Su Ming and pressed his red lips directly onto his lips. P.S. New books set sale, seeking flowers, collecting, commenting, monthly tickets, everything. As long as the data is awesome, getting stronger can make me die suddenly. Chapter 5. Can you still leave me? Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yumo, what are you doing? At this moment, the sudden sound of Su Ming directly brought Qin Yumo back to reality. For a while, Qin Yumo quickly retreated back. I felt at a loss. After all, as a woman, surprisingly attracted by Su Ming. And he was also caught on the spot. This is really embarrassing. I understand. Seeing Qin Yumo hesitating to speak, Su Ming also spoke up. Actually, this kind of thing. You don't have to sneak around. After all, our relationship is different. Just say it. I will definitely take responsibility to the end for Su Ming's words. Qin Yumo just lowered his head, no response was given. But in her heart, there are some small expectations. Seeing the situation, Su Ming's mouth slightly curved upwards. Without any hesitation, Su Ming immediately turned from defense to attack, imprinting his lips on her red lips. Qin Yumo's pupils contracted suddenly. My mind is blank. Su Ming's movements are so fast, so bold. Humph. After reacting, Qin Yumo was also somewhat dissatisfied. Even though I started it myself, why did it even fall behind instead? Wait. I take a call first. Suddenly, a bell rang. Qin Yumo propped his hands on Su Ming's chest, stopped his next move. How unlucky. But when Qin Yumo picked up his phone, after seeing the incoming call display above, I couldn't help but spit out. I'm ready to hang up right away. Because of this phone number, it was none other than Richard calling. Don't worry, hang up. Su Ming stopped Qin Yumo's behavior. Speak up. How, are you ready to pick it up? Qin Yumo gave Su Ming a white glance and spoke. I'm just curious, what else does he have to say? Su Ming smiled and spoke up. What's so curious about this? Boring. Although Qin Yumo said so, but I still answered the phone. Yumo, I know you must be very disappointed now, but some things, it's not as you imagine. I also want to explain. Can we come out and chat? Qin Yumo just answered the phone. The other party seems to be afraid that Qin Yumo will fail, so I quickly finished speaking in one breath. In his opinion, it's been so long now, Su Ming is definitely not next to Qin Yumo. Just broke up. For a man like Qin Yumo, there must still be some attachment. He has the opportunity to invite Qin Yumo out. In Richard's view, Qin Yumo is a rare beauty. If it's not up, it's definitely a big regret. Give it a try, maybe you succeeded. Anyway, it won't cost much. Chat. Your uncle. Qin Yumo directly cursed at this. The middle-aged uncle across from me. Your thoughts haven't been dispelled yet. Su Ming took Richard's phone, taunted. How about, are you going to seek love from your wife now? Perhaps she will satisfy you in a leopard print outfit, and do I not know that you are so careful, but don't worry either, I have already helped you with what you want to do, Su Ming sarcastically said. Doodle doodle. Su Ming hasn't finished speaking yet, a beep of hanging up the phone had already been heard. It seems that he has become angry with embarrassment. Su Ming threw his phone aside and said helplessly. How dare you do this? Qin Yumo's face turned red and he spoke. Although you may say so, but I also feel incredibly comfortable in my heart. What's going on, don't you think, is this really interesting to that old bastard? I can already imagine, what is his mood now? Su Ming patted Qin Yumo's thigh, at this moment, he said with a smile. Boredom. Feeling a bit sore, Qin Yumo let out a soft moan, and after saying these words, he directly covered his head with a pillow. I'm going to sleep now, don't disturb me. A few days later. Where do you live now? Qin Yumo was wearing clothes on one side, as he spoke to Su Ming, he asked. Me. I didn't know before, but now, I'll live with you wherever you live, Su Ming smiled and said. He was originally a traveler, except for those with status, he had no house, no car, and no savings. The location of the ID card, it's still a mountain corner that Su Ming has never heard of. But these are not important, just have a formal identity. The later social identity, just rely on him to directly change. Regarding Su Ming's words, Qin Yumo couldn't help but give him a coquettish look. Are you relying on me? No, isn't that because you're afraid you'll miss me after I leave? Su Ming smiled and spoke up. You really have confidence. Qin Yumo's face turned slightly red. Although she really likes Su Ming. But I can't do without it, that would be too presumptuous. Qin Yumo, what kind of man can't do without it? She is an independent woman of the new era. However, if we really parted ways, wouldn't the happiness I had so hard to know be gone? Qin Yumo suddenly thought for a moment, I couldn't help but mutter again. However, it happened to meet Su Ming's smiling eyes. Qin Yumo lowered his head with some nervousness. I'm not sure where to live, but I have already confirmed where to stay. I don't want to go back to the place where I used to live. As soon as I went there, I thought of that bastard's face. It's so disgusting. After a moment, Qin Yumo's small face earnestly recalled, I remember, I had a good friend and best friend who said they had 2 roommates who got married and moved out a while ago and needed to rent. However, I just don't know if there are any available rooms at the moment. Chapter 6. Yumo, you are indeed quite beautiful. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How about you ask? Upon hearing Qin Yumo's words, Su Ming, I immediately understood what she was saying. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be a love apartment. After all, Qin Yumo's best friends are just a few. The first thing she remembered, that's even less. Except for Yifei, Su Ming couldn't even think of other candidates. Well, I'll call now to ask. Qin Yumo heard Su Ming's words, without much thought. I also nodded at this moment. After taking out the phone, after finding the phone number, I called over. Hello, Yifei. Hello, Yumo. How come you have time to call me, is there something wrong? Yifei's voice rang on the phone. Yifei, sure enough, you still know me. Qin Yumo chuckled. Nonsense, if you're okay, I haven't seen you contact me for a month or 2. After Yifei finished speaking with some frustration, he said casually again, tell me, what can I do for you? Actually, it's not a big deal either. Last time you told me, there are rooms available for rent in your apartment. I don't know if there are any available rooms at the moment. Qin Yumo hesitated for a moment before speaking up. That's it. If you want to move over, you can move over anytime. I still have spare rooms on my end. After Yifei finished speaking, she couldn't help but joke, oh by the way, I forgot to tell you that we have a particularly good policy here. Couples can move in, rent can be halved, and water and electricity can be waived. If you're capable, I suggest you find a boyfriend to come over with. Alright, don't say that anymore. Just send me your address and I'll go over when I have time. Qin Yumo did not take Yifei's teasing remarks. Yu Guang casually glanced at Su Ming. Let's get to the point directly. Okay, hang up first. I'll send you my address here. After Yifei hung up the phone, soon, on Qin Yumo's phone, a detailed address appeared. Love Apartment, Building 2, number 3601, Yangpu Road, Guoshan East Road, Magic City. Okay. After tidying up, we should go now. After obtaining the address, Qin Yumo, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. After putting away the phone, looking at Su Ming, he said. We don't have anything here either. What needs to be cleaned up? Su Ming asked with some confusion. The cleaning lady will come to work. What about toilet paper? Qin Yumo's face turned red as he looked at the ground, scattered toilet paper everywhere. Why is there toilet paper on the ground? Mainly because the trash cans are almost full. I can't fit it anymore. Then we'll have to throw it on the ground. Put it here and let them handle it. Su Ming smiled and said. He didn't feel any embarrassment at all. After all, this is a symbol of his strength. Then you can check out alone later. Anyway, it was opened with your ID card. Qin Yumo blushed and said. No, you should be the one to return it. I opened it with your ID card. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo and said seriously. You. Upon hearing this, Qin Yumo, who was originally somewhat embarrassed, immediately widened his eyes. This is the first time she has seen such a thing, opening a room with the woman, surprisingly using the woman's ID card. Okay, then I'll go. Glancing at Su Ming, Qin Yumo also put on his clothes and stood up. Watching Qin Yumo leave, Su stretched lazily. I instinctively glanced at the battlefield created by him and Qin Yumo next to me. I am also extremely satisfied in my heart. Su Ming didn't stay here for too long and soon left the room. Really? It feels like a world has passed away. After Su Ming left the hotel, looking at the dazzling sunlight outside, I couldn't help but squint my eyes. For what has happened in the past few days, he couldn't help feeling a daze again. This feeling, it's too unreal, just like a dream. Let's go to my current residence, take care of things, and then we'll go to the love apartment. At this moment, Qin Yumo also walked over from a distance and looked at Su Ming standing there in a daze, saying. Didn't you say you wouldn't go there? Su Ming said in confusion. I just said I don't live there anymore. There are still many precious things that I left behind over there. Qin Yumo said seriously with a small face. At least take these things away, otherwise, it would be too bad. Let's go then. Su Ming nodded when he heard this, grasped Qin Yumo's small hand directly and naturally. Seeing the situation, Qin Yumo trembled slightly all over. However, she didn't refuse either. I don't know why, Su Ming always brings her an inexplicable attraction, the kind that makes it difficult for her to refuse. My place of residence is quite a distance from here. How can I get there? Qin Yumo looked at Su Ming with a hint of melancholy. Especially in my current state, do you think I can walk for a long time? That's right. Upon hearing these words, Su Ming suddenly took a glance between Qin Yumo's legs and withdrew his gaze. And then reached out and hailed a taxi. The place you live in is quite nice. Soon, the two also appeared at Qin Yumo's home. Of course, to be a successful urban beauty, one must be willing to spend money on oneself. Qin Yumo looked up at his small face and hummed. Speaking, he also walked towards his own room. You are indeed quite beautiful. After Su Ming followed in, glancing around. Especially after opening the wardrobe, looking at it, there are at least 10 stockings inside, various styles. Su Ming couldn't help but joke. What's wrong? Everyone has a love for beauty. Noticing the position where Su Ming was staring, Qin Yumo's face turned slightly red, although it's a bit awkward. However, he still pretended to be calm and said. It's nothing, don't say you like it, I also quite like it. Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo's straight and slender jade legs and smiled, saying, so many stockings, I was thinking about when you would show me each piece of clothing. you think so beautifully. Why should I wear it for you? Qin Yumo snorted coldly. My ears are already red. However, he still spoke fiercely. Chapter 7. This piece is authentic. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. You're my girlfriend, don't show it to me, who should I show it to? Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo and asked in reverse. Who said I'm your girlfriend? Qin Yumo heard Su Ming's words. My little face turned red, low vocal tract. Didn't your best friend say that? The rent for couples stay is halved, and all utilities are free. How can we not use such a discount? And we've done everything we need to do. If you're not my girlfriend, don't you feel like you're losing out? Su Ming looked at Qin Yumo, smiling, he said. Upon hearing this, Qin Yumo's beautiful eyes stagnated. Think carefully, Su Ming is also right. She already thought of Su Ming as her boyfriend in her heart, otherwise, how could we have stayed alone with him for so long? Okay, let's pretend to be a couple. Qin Yumo looked at Su Ming and said seriously. Regarding this, Su Ming shook his head. It's not a disguise, but it's real. Qin Yumo and Su Ming felt that their relationship had become completely substantive. What does it mean to have a fake couple now? What he needs is, let Qin Yumo willingly do that. Su Ming's words, Qin Yumo fell silent for another moment. However, she didn't refute either. Obviously, it also tacitly accepted Su Ming's words. There are quite a few things you need to move out of here. Half an hour later, Qin Yumo and Su Ming finally finished packing up the things Qin Yumo wanted to take away. Mainly some clothes, there are also some cosmetics and the like. Bottles, jars, with all kinds of flowers. Obviously, women always have a lot of equipment. Just like college seniors, they never know about that ordinary pink suitcase. We'll crush him into a camel xiangzi. It's already very rare. I still have a lot of things to take with me. Qin Yumo spoke up and said, by the way, I almost forgot that there are still clothes left from the washing machine. Qin Yumo suddenly ran towards the balcony. Su Ming also followed behind. It seems that I still underestimate you, you're really hiding it. Su Ming walked to the balcony. I saw a wash basin in front of the washing machine, filled with stockings, which had a great visual impact. Obviously, all of them have already been worn through, but there is no cleaning. If this thing were hung on a certain fish, it would be authentic and beautiful, and it wouldn't be snatched like crazy. I won't bring these anymore, let's buy a new one later. Qin Yumo also knew what Su Ming was saying. His face turned slightly red. I feel a bit embarrassed. A trendy-looking red coat appeared from the dirty clothes. This one is my favorite, and it's quite expensive. Let's donate the rest to the children in the disaster area. Are you sure you want to donate these to the child? Su Ming was somewhat shocked upon hearing these words. Those clothes, if it's not suitable for children at all, let's not say it. Silk stockings. What is the connection between this thing and children? She really dares to say that. It seems a bit bad, but it's a pity to just throw it away like this. Qin Yumo also realized that something was wrong. With a dry laugh, then he said somewhat hesitantly. Forget it, take these with you too. Su Ming said. But I'm too lazy to wash. These can't be washed in the washing machine, they can only be washed with water. Qin Yumo spoke up. I'll help you wash it then. Really, don't go back on what you said. Just as Su Ming finished speaking, Qin Yumo was afraid that Su Ming would back out. Just take those stockings that were originally worried about how to deal with, all of them have been packed up. This made Su Ming's mouth twitch uncontrollably. How does he feel? Qin Yumo had planned this long ago. Continuing. After packing all the stockings, Qin Yumo threw it directly to Su Ming. I'll leave these to you to handle. Looking at the large bag of authentic stockings thrown by Qin Yumo in his hand, smelling that elusive scent, Su Ming's expression was particularly peculiar. Alright, let's go. I'll drive you there. After thoroughly tidying up, Qin Yumo and Su Ming each carried something. appeared in the parking lot downstairs in the community. "Is this your car?" Qin Yumo walked up to a red sports car, pressed the key, and the headlights lit up. "Of course. How about it? It looks great, isn't it?" Qin Yumo nodded proudly. "After opening the trunk, I also put the things inside. It looks good. It seems that I have come across a wealthy woman this time." Su Ming deliberately smiled and said, "Although the sports car in front of us is not a limited edition Ferrari, it is also very expensive." In Su Ming's impression, Qin Yumo is still very wealthy. Apart from sports cars, there is also a villa located in the suburbs. "You know, this is the magic city, a magic city with every inch of land and every inch of gold. It has been a central city in China since the 1990s. Even if you don't do anything, put it there. In 10 years, the value will more than double. It can be said that, apart from some invisible second-generation wealthy individuals, Qin Yumo is obviously the wealthiest." "I'm not a wealthy woman." Qin Yumo shook his head, however. "It's still a matter of breaking the family's assets. But if you make me happy, in the future, my sister will take you to eat delicious food and drink spicy food. These are still fine." Qin Yumo said, throwing a seductive glance at Su Ming, proud and proud. "Is that right? So how can I make you happy?" Su Ming was taken aback and joked with a smile. "Listen to me, then. You understand." Qin Yumo looked at Su Ming, a seductive expression was revealed. Upon hearing Qin Yumo's words, Su Ming laughed. Her request, it seems quite simple. After all, this mutual benefit and mutual assistance. But let yourself listen to her words, that must be impossible. If Su Ming wants to do it, he needs to be in power, otherwise, how to keep the red flag from falling and the colorful flag fluttering? However, Qin Yumo's proud and delicate personality, it's still a bit difficult. However, Su Ming is not in a hurry either. His enchanting attributes, as long as you stay with him, you are constantly being controlled by the deepening succubus. Just like Qin Yumo, the red and purple patterns in the eyes of the enchanting demon are becoming more and more profound and obvious. Having a demonic attribute, plus my strong strength, let Qin Yumo take a back seat. Listen to yourself, there isn't much difficulty, it's just a matter of time. Chapter 8. Rewards for meeting Yifei for the first time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hello, Yifei, I have already arrived downstairs. The two arrived at the address given by Yifei. After both of them got off the sports car, Qin Yumo directly dialed Yifei's phone number. Okay, I'll come down now. Yifei answered the phone and hung up after saying these words. The chat content is simple and rough. Why are you calling her now? Su Ming asked with some confusion. Didn't she tell us the specific building number and room number? I know, but if she doesn't come down, what should I do with all my luggage? Qin Yumo naturally said. Upon hearing this, Su Ming was stunned. My face looks a bit strange. Emotion. Is about asking Yifei to come and carry her luggage. This best friend, he has seen what it means. Yumo. At this point, a particularly familiar voice rang out. Yifei. Soon, Qin Yumo's voice also sounded. When Su Ming looked over, the two women hugged each other directly. This scene, in the eyes of all people, will think that they are very good sisters. It's really fast. Su Ming felt like Qin Yumo had just finished his phone call when Yifei appeared here so quickly. He suspected it. Yifei jumped down. Yumo, who is this? After the two women let go of their pleasantries for a while, Yifei's gaze couldn't help but focus on Su Ming. After all, with such a big person standing here, and with outstanding appearance and temperament, it's difficult to make people ignore it. Qin Yumo glanced at Su Ming and then at Yifei, with a smile on his face. He's my boyfriend. Boyfriend? Yifei's eyes widened upon hearing this. Staring intently at Su Ming for a few seconds, he turned his head and turned his gaze back to Qin Yumo. Unbelievable, shocked, envious, regretful, these complex expressions, it appeared on Hu Yifei's face at the same time. Are you joking? Hu Yifei asked with some reluctance to believe. What's the joke here? He is my boyfriend. Su Ming as Qin Yumo spoke, walking to Su Ming's side, extending his jade arm, he wrapped it around Su Ming's arm, with a happy smile on his face. Su Ming, that's what I told you about my good friend, Yifei. Hu Yifei listened to Qin Yumo's introduction. My eyes are still full of disbelief, to be precise, it is unwillingness to believe. She only feels like her back teeth are about to break. She is also afraid of her best friend's hardships. I'm afraid my best friend will drive a Land Rover. If everyone doesn't have a boyfriend, you can also make fun of each other. But now Qin Yumo has it, and it's so handsome. Her boyfriend hasn't been heard from in any galaxy yet. What is this? Hello, my name is Su Ming. Nice to meet you. At this moment, Su Ming extended his right hand to Hu Yifei, smiling, he said. At this moment, Hu Yifei, as he remembers, but perhaps standing in front of me, more beautiful than what I remember. Wearing casual clothes paired with shorts, hair casually draped over the shoulders. Soft and plump red lips, a delicate Yao nose, let Hu Yifei's irritable personality add an unchangeable charm. As for her figure, although it's not the kind of ripe peach, but it's also excellent, with exquisite curves. The waist and limbs are slender and plump, making it difficult to grip. Long and beautiful legs, without any stockings covering, it further showcases a white and tender beauty of the skin. This is Su Ming's response to Hu Yifei in front of him, after setting aside personality, a very fair evaluation. Hello. I never expected Yumo to find a handsome boyfriend like you. Originally, Hu Yifei was envious and jealous of Qin Yumo over and over again. Su Ming's words and actions, it also directly brought her back to reality, reached out and grasped Su Ming's hand. No, Yumo is very beautiful, so are you. Su Ming smiled and said. Hu Yifei's hands were particularly cool and tender. After all, age and work are placed here. Hu Yifei doesn't do rough work either, and her skin naturally takes care of itself very well. Thank you. After touching Su Ming's skin, Hu Yifei felt as if an electric current was flowing through her body, starting from her hands. The whole person feels a bit tingling, but there is also a unique sense of blockiness. Especially after retrieving the jade hand, Hu Yifei felt a faint sense of disappointment in her heart. This made Hu Yifei feel a bit shocked. What does this feel like? Just like Su Ming has a special affinity, I want her to actively get close. Is this the attraction of the legendary best friend's boyfriend? Hu Yifei thought to herself. Contact the key character Hu Yifei in the plot, reward him with a complete set of ninjutsu skills, including unique skills, and receive 100% empty-handed ammunition with a flash. On Su Ming's side, just as he started fighting with Hu Yifei, such a voice came to his mind. This surprised Su Ming for a moment. I just got in touch with Hu Yifei and didn't expect the reward to be distributed so quickly. This efficiency is impressive. However, a complete collection of ninjutsu techniques, can't it be the kind he imagined? It can be used for time stillness, hypnosis, fireball techniques. With this feeling in mind, Su Ming carefully read the introduction. Ninjutsu is a technique that transcends the limits of human beings, breaking free from human constraints and unleashing all aspects of the body to the fullest. Stealth, assassination, sensitivity, endurance, strength, endurance. Seeing these introductions, Su Ming honestly felt a bit disappointed. However, this reward is actually decent. After all, it doesn't require active practice on its own. Its body learns every second, and the intensity of various aspects is also increasing every second. Not to mention anything else, this reward, he gave himself a self-defense method, which greatly enhanced his combat effectiveness. But the additional skill of this reward, 100% empty-handed ammunition with a flash. It's true that Su Ming couldn't figure it out. Is this difficult? Just prepared to restrain Hu Yifei for oneself. Chapter 9. Chen Meijia, a flower idiot. Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What a fool, come and help us move our luggage. Just as Su Ming was pondering, Qin Yumo's voice also sounded at this moment. Here we go. After Su Ming realized it, he quickly walked towards the trunk of the car. 3601, Yifei, you said there are still available rooms here, is that right here? Qin Yumo sat on the sofa, looked around for a while, then looked at Yifei and asked with some confusion. No, this suite is already full. Yifei spoke up. Where is that? Qin Yumo asked with some confusion. Next door, 3603. If you had come earlier, you would have stayed in 3602, but there was only one room left because an islander from the neighboring country came a few days ago. Yifei explained, there were originally 2 people living in 3603, but now they have all moved out. You can go and live there. So have the rent and waive all utilities. Su Ming asked. Well. You can enjoy this discount, but 3603 is a suite for 4 people. If you 2 live in it for rent, it's still equivalent to paying for a normal 2-person apartment. Yifei said, but the decoration there is the same as here, just carry your bag and move in. That's it. Qin Yumo nodded when he heard this, it's also okay. Qin Yumo was not originally a poor money owner, he only paid half of the rent, and it's not a big deal. However, she and Su Ming live alone in a suite. Qin Yumo could almost imagine what would happen. At this moment, I just feel that my face is slightly hot. I'll take you to take a look now. Yifei didn't think much, after seeing Qin Yumo's agreement, he also stood up and walked directly towards 3603 with Su Ming and Qin Yumo. 3603, it's not much different from 3601-3602, with a complete range of air conditioning, refrigerators, washing machines, and sofas. It's purely about checking in with a bag. How's it going? After taking the 2 of them around, Yifei looked at Qin Yumo and asked. That's great. Qin Yumo nodded, looking at Su Ming again, what do you think? Not bad. Su Ming also nodded and said. In that case, you guys should stay here. Yifei saw the situation, a smile also hung on his face, my gaze couldn't help but take 2 more glances at Su Ming. She always feels like Su Ming treated her, there is a hard-to-describe attraction. This is her unprecedented feeling. Since that's the case, why don't you guys tidy up first? I still have some things to do when I go back to the suite. Yifei withdrew her caution and smiled at Su Ming and Qin Yumo. No problem, we'll find you later. Qin Yumo also responded with a smile. Seeing the situation, Yifei did not stay here much, but left directly. The environment is quite good, with better lighting than where I used to live. After Yifei left, Qin Yumo lazily gave birth to a lazy waist and then lay on the sofa like this. A pair of jade legs were placed casually, looking particularly tempting. It's really pretty good. Su Ming nodded in agreement and then stood in front of Qin Yumo. Looking at each other, Qin Yumo was taken aback for a moment, hurry up and sit up, stop talking, pack up your things. After speaking, Qin Yumo ran away in such a miserable state. Seeing the situation, Su Ming looked at her back, a smile also appeared at the corner of the mouth. Qin Yumo's room needs to be cleaned up, but Su Ming doesn't need it anymore. After all, he only traveled here yesterday, in terms of assets, it is directly 0. There's nothing to move over. He only needs to prepare some daily necessities. When Qin Yumo was tidying up his room, Su Ming also went downstairs directly to start buying some simple items. For example, toothpaste, toothbrushes, sheets, etc. Hey, handsome guy. Just after Su Ming finished purchasing things at the small convenience store downstairs, he just made the payment and walked out not too far. An excited voice rang from behind him. Su Ming was taken aback for a moment, I turned around and took a look. I saw a petite woman with a beautiful face and a quirky appearance, staring at me with a pair of starry eyes. To be precise, this beautiful woman is Chen Meijia. Are you calling me? Su Ming was somewhat surprised and asked. Otherwise, besides you, there are many people around here, where else is there a handsome guy? And, since you've turned around, do you still need to ask? Chen Meijia looked at Su Ming with some excitement. My little hands couldn't help but rub. She's really lucky. I didn't expect to be here, being able to meet handsome guys of this level. If we could turn him into a boyfriend, there are no regrets in this life. I live in building 2, 3602. Do you also live here? Chen Meijia asked with some anticipation. I'm at 3603, just moved over. Ah. This is just too coincidental. Chen Meijia appeared shocked on the surface, but happiness bloomed in her heart. It's quite a coincidence. Although Su Ming knew this well in his heart, he still pretended to be somewhat surprised on the surface. From then on, we will become neighbors. Is that right? Of course it is. After Chen Meijia eagerly approached, asked, do you need me to help you carry it? No need. Su Ming shook his head and spoke. Are you really not using it? Chen Meijia's beautiful eyes kept blinking, revealing a pitiful expression. You have so many things, wouldn't it be tiring to carry them yourself? If I could help you share some, you wouldn't be so tired. Upon hearing these words, looking at Chen Meijia's expression, Su Ming also felt a bit helpless. He has seen many male-licking dogs, but female flower enthusiasts, especially those like Chen Meijia, are really rare. Chapter 10. Each type of reward has its own characteristics. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay then. Looking at what Chen Meijia was looking forward to, Su Ming finally nodded and agreed. For Chen Meijia, he doesn't have much of a mind. After all, this girl played too much. Lu Ziqiao won't say it anymore. From that sentence, only Ziqiao is right, can be seen, her relationship is too complicated. It's not interesting. Not to mention LV Ziqiao, and that little dragon man. Even he looks up to it. Su Ming has no reason to be interested in Chen Meijia. He only has one thing to do now, that's how to handle Qin Yumo well. After all, conquering a sexy woman like Qin Yumo has a great sense of achievement. Chen Meijia doesn't know Su Ming's thoughts. At this moment, upon hearing Su Ming's agreement, immediately boost your spirits, directly took over Su Ming's things. Meanwhile, I also intentionally touched Su Ming with my little hand. In an instant, it feels like an electric shock, at this moment, directly making Chen Meijia's heart tremble uncontrollably. Ding, unlock the plot character Chen Meijia. Reward. Little God of Wealth's Rice Warehouse. Little God of Wealth's Rice Warehouse. Every second will automatically generate 1 cent. The system's prompt sound reappeared in my mind. Su Ming feels a brand new reward. I couldn't help but shudder for a moment. The rice barn of the God of Wealth, this thing, it's a bit interesting. 1 cent per second, 60 seconds per minute, 3,600 seconds per hour, and 20.4 hours per day. Su Ming roughly estimated, he doesn't have to do anything every day, they can all earn a profit of 8,640 yuan. For Su Ming now, it can be said that delivering charcoal in the snow. After all, he doesn't have any assets at all now, still have to worry about money. He now borrows money for daily necessities from Qin Yumo. And there's rent for the rest of it. Although he knows the future development trend, but those are all long-line fishing for big fish, it is still somewhat difficult for him to obtain wealth in a short period of time. Now, this reward, directly solved my urgent need. From these rewards, Su Ming has a slight understanding. Obtaining the charm from Qin Yumo perfectly corresponds to Qin Yumo's charm. I obtained ninjutsu from Yifei, which corresponds to her combat power. Obtaining the rice warehouse from Chen Meijia also corresponds to Chen Meijia's love for wealth. This means that, his reward was not given casually, but it's related to the plot characters. If that's really the case, that would be interesting. Everything we get here, they are all particularly important to him. Just like the current rice warehouse, it simply solved his economic crisis. Thinking of this, Su Ming's gaze at Chen Meijia became somewhat friendly. However, this kind of gaze fell into Chen Meijia's eyes. Let her have wild thoughts. My little face couldn't help but turn red. I feel a bit embarrassed to look at Su Ming. Lower your head, the little hands kept spinning around. Su Ming was taken aback by this, but on second thought, he doesn't understand either. It seems that the charm's constitution has played a role, for Chen Meijia, who is obsessed with flowers. This is a complete killer. Let's go upstairs. Su Ming withdrew his thoughts and left first after speaking to Chen Meijia. Chen Meijia saw the situation. I also quickly followed behind. He just smiled at me. Is he interested in me? If he confesses to me, should I agree? How conflicted. Along the way, the little deer in Chen Meijia's heart kept bouncing wildly. Also fantasizing about various possibilities. Until 3603 living room. Su Ming, you're back. Who is this? Qin Yumo sat on the sofa, looking at Chen Meijia following Su Ming with some confusion. She lives next door, almost like our neighbor. Su Ming introduced. Yes, I'm right next door. My name is Chen Meijia, and I'll give you more guidance in the future. Chen Meijia looked at Qin Yumo and smiled, saying, Beauty, you moved here with this handsome guy, right? Well, my name is Qin Yumo, Su Ming's girlfriend. Qin Yumo smiled and shook hands with Chen Meijia. After hearing this answer, Chen Meijia's originally smiling face solidified in this moment. Girlfriend. Although there has been such speculation in my heart, but her heart still told her, perhaps this is the possibility. The beautiful woman in front of me is Sister Su Ming, or maybe it's an old sister. Even Mom is fine. However, Qin Yumo's answer directly shattered her fantasy. I have something else to do. I'll leave first. Chen Meijia chuckled twice, put down her things, and ran away without a trace. Damn it, I finally met a handsome guy. How come I already have a girlfriend? Although it's normal for such a handsome girlfriend, but what a pity. After Chen Meijia returned to the 3602 suite, he plunged his head directly into the sofa. His face was filled with regret. A pity. No, it's just a girlfriend. It's not my wife. This hasn't been finalized yet. As long as the hoe is swung well, there's no corner that can't be dug. After a brief emotional downturn, Chen Meijia sat up suddenly, reached out a small hand and clenched it into a fist, swearing confidently. She is unwilling to give up. She felt that. She is on Su Ming, just felt a long-lost heart. Meijia, is there still milk in the refrigerator? At this moment, Lvzhia walked in from outside and casually asked Chen Meijia. You won't go see it yourself, will you? Chen Meijia shouted loudly. Who made you provoke you again? It's like taking gunpowder. Upon seeing Chen Meijia's reaction, Lvzhia muttered softly before walking towards the kitchen refrigerator. You said, does Meijia have some interest in you? After Chen Meijia left, Qin Yumo sat on the sofa, looking at Su Ming and asking. It looks like it should be. Su Ming nodded, then he looked at Qin Yumo jokingly, smiling, how about you see my charm? If you don't cherish it. Some are women grabbing. Humph. Upon hearing Su Ming's words, Qin Yumo just snorted coquettishly without hesitation.